God took away his greatest gift, the one thing that defined his entire existence, only to give him a far greater purpose. This is the incredible story of a world-renowned surgeon who lost his hands and, in the depths of his despair, found his true calling. It is a powerful testament to the mysterious and often painful ways of the divine plan, a plan that sometimes requires us to lose who we think we are in order to become who we are truly meant to be. Dr. Marcus Thorne was a name whispered with reverence in the medical community. He was more than a surgeon. He was an artist. His hands were his life's work, instruments of healing capable of performing microscopic miracles that saved lives. His identity, his purpose, his entire sense of self-worth was centered in the genius of his hands. He was a man at the pinnacle of his profession, a master of his own destiny. The stakes of his life were impossibly high. Every day, he held life and death in his gifted fingers. He believed he was in control, that his success was a product of his own skill and dedication alone. He had forgotten the divine source from which his gift had come. Then, in a single, tragic moment, his world was shattered. A car accident. In the twisted metal and broken glass, the one part of him that was most precious, his hands, were irreparably damaged. The artist's instruments were broken. The complex network of nerves and bones that he had relied on to perform miracles on others was now a source of his own agonizing pain and helplessness. The feeling of waking up in that hospital bed, a patient in the very world where he had once been a king, was a descent into a living nightmare. Imagine the sensory deprivation, the constant throbbing pain where his dexterity used to be, the phantom feeling of a scalpel that was no longer there, the rough, unfamiliar texture of bandages encasing what was once the source of his identity. This was more than a physical loss. It was an amputation of his soul. His purpose had been taken from him. He was a ship without a rudder, a story without an ending. The man who had fixed so many others was now irrevocably broken himself. This is what spiritual teachers call the dark night of the soul. It is a period of profound loss and despair, a time when everything you have built your identity upon is stripped away. It is a painful, terrifying, and necessary part of the divine plan for growth. God does not cause our tragedies, but He uses them. He allows the demolition of our old life to make way for the construction of a new one, a life that is more aligned with our true, higher purpose. For months, Marcus languished in a deep depression. He was angry at God, at the universe, at the cruel irony of his fate. The man who had given hope to so many had lost all hope for himself. His days were a gray fog of physical therapy and bitter memories. He had lost his gift. He believed his life was over, but God's plan was just beginning to unfold. The turning point came not as a flash of lightning, but as a quiet observation. During a visit to a children's hospital, he saw a young girl struggling with a crude, claw-like prosthetic hand. He watched her frustration, her determination, her unbroken spirit. And in that moment, his heart, which had been frozen with self-pity, began to thaw. He saw her not as a patient, but as a person, a soul with a challenge. For the first time since his accident, he thought not about what he had lost, but about what he could give. His brilliant surgeon's mind, which had been dormant, began to awaken. He still understood the intricate mechanics of the human hand better than almost anyone on the planet. He couldn't hold a scalpel, but he could hold a pencil. He began to sketch. This is the moment of resurrection. It is the point in the divine plan where our greatest wound becomes our greatest gift. The pain we have endured gives us a unique empathy, an understanding that cannot be learned from books. Our suffering becomes the fertile ground from which our true purpose can grow. Marcus had a new mission. He dedicated his life to designing revolutionary prosthetic hands, not just for children, but for anyone who had suffered a loss like his. He collaborated with engineers and roboticists, his deep, intimate knowledge of human anatomy guiding their work. He was no longer just fixing one person at a time on an operating table. He was creating a new future for thousands. The hands he designed were marvels of engineering and art, capable of delicate movements that were once thought impossible for a prosthetic. He was, once again, an artist, but his new medium was not flesh and bone. It was carbon fiber and mylar. The joy he felt seeing a child pick up a flower for the first time with one of his creations was deeper and more profound than any satisfaction he had ever felt in the operating room. He realized the divine plan in its painful, beautiful entirety. God had not taken away his gift. He had simply changed the way he was meant to use it. The accident had forced him to release his ego, his belief that he was the sole source of his power. In his brokenness, he had found a deeper connection to humanity and to God. He had been a great surgeon, but he became a true healer. He had lost his hands, but he had found his soul. Your life has a divine plan, a purpose that may be far greater than the one you have imagined for yourself. Sometimes, that plan requires you to let go of a dream you hold dear, to walk through a period of darkness and loss. If you are in that darkness now, if you feel that your gift has been taken, have faith. It is not an ending, it is a transition. God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. He is asking you to release your grip on the life you thought you wanted so that you can receive the life you were truly born to live. Your greatest wound will become your most sacred mission. If you believe in the power of a divine plan, consider following for more stories of hope and transformation.